Hello, everyone. This is your friendly neighborhood podcast. I'm Kyle Swope, and joining me is our new co-host, who I can gladly say is an official co-host this time, Colin Donato. Colin, how are you doing?
Good.
Cool beans, cool beans. Today, me and Colin are going to be giving our review for the Marvel movie came out this past summer, Shang Chi and the Legend of the Ten Rings. Now, before I get into that, just a disclaimer. I think saying Shang Chi feels really weird because I read it as Shang Chi, so I might say that throughout this episode. I'm not meaning to offend anybody. That's just my dialect. Makes me want to say Shang instead of Shung. I don't know. But anyways, yeah. So Colin, do you have that synopsis?
All right.
Okay.
So we begin with a flashback and a lot of subtitle reading for about 10 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And then we get into some cool fighting styles that we've never seen in Marvel before. And then, of course, we have the classic Marvel comedy, giant CGI monster fight, and that's about it. So all you have in this movie, you have awesome fight scenes, CGI monster fight, and classic Marvel comedy. That's the easiest summary you can give of that movie.
Sounds good. So, that being said, my next question, Colin. So, if you had to polarize your opinion of this movie, okay, into you either liked it or you did not like it, would you say that you liked it or you didn't?
I love this movie.
Okay. Would you like to explain why? Just give us the whole spiel. Do the whole thing.
So Shang-Chi, as anyone in Marvel knows, he's not an A-list hero. He's like a mid C-list, B-list hero. He's not well known.
Mm-hmm.
He's not that popular. He's not that cool. But the MCU was able to take this low-tier hero and make him seem awesome.
Mm-hmm.
They have Simu Lee. I think I'm saying that right. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right. But who's from Kim's Convenience, which was a Canadian comedy show. And I watched that prior to seeing Shang-Chi to kind of get a feel for his acting and his style and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And I loved him in that. I loved his humor in that. And he brings that humor in the Shang-Chi also. And I loved his role in the action scenes and the way he fought. He actually lied about his kung fu skills to help get the role.
Oh wow. Well, okay, so I'm gonna give my hot takes here. I did not care for the movie, not gonna lie. I mean that's part of the reason why we're discussing it, and I'll tell you why. So it's kind of hard to describe. So if you're familiar with the concept of like people talk about in Hollywood superhero fatigue, that's what I felt in this movie. Okay, it's like I didn't feel like it brought anything new to the table personally. Like yeah, there's new characters. Yeah, there's some new Marvel lore and stuff, which is all, that's all nice and well. I don't have any problems with that. But I just feel like I've seen this story so many times, more or less. It just felt really unoriginal. Just in general. I will say, now this is going to sound really bad. This is going to sound really negative. But I remember sitting in the theater watching it, okay? And I was like halfway through the final battle. I checked my watch and I'm like, how much longer is this going to go on for? I know that sounds really bad, and I don't want to beat this movie because, like, it's not that it's a bad movie. It's just that it's a very, in my opinion, boring movie. And something I have to explain to people is whenever I look at movies and how valuable they are to myself anyways, I base them on two things. One, how good is the actual movie? And two, how much entertainment value is in the movie, if that makes sense. So, entertainment value.
I know what you mean.
Yeah. If we refer back to our last episode, okay, talking about Batman and Robin, so the reason I like that movie is not because it's a good movie, but it has a lot of entertainment value for me personally. Whereas Shang-Chi, like, yeah, it was a fine movie. It was no Citizen Kane though, and it didn't have the entertainment value for me like the previous, well, like some previous Marvel movies, I'll say. Because I feel like the MCU in general is getting really like oversaturated with like new heroes that they're trying to make interesting, cool, and relevant, and some work. Other ones not so much, I feel like. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I know what you mean.
But I think back to like the movie Doctor Strange, okay? Again, Doctor Strange was a fine movie. Thought it was good. But like I have no desire to go back and watch it ever again because it's just not that interesting to me. You get what I'm saying?
I feel like the complete opposite compared to you though, with like Doctor Strange and Shang-Chi.
Yeah.
Like I saw Shang-Chi 4 times in theaters.
Well, hold on a second. Well, Hunt, before we move on, I know this is completely off topic, but I just want to let our listeners know a little bit more about you, Colin. But how many times have you seen Spider-Man: No Way Home in theaters?
8 times.
Yes, 8 times. Okay, that's first of all, that's incredible. But second of all, like this is why Marvel makes so much money. This is why No Way Home has only been knocked out of the top box office spot twice since it came out, because Colin goes to see it so many times. Anyways, so yeah, but the movie, like, so Shang-Chi, okay, like, again, the movie was not bad, but there were just things I didn't like, and I was not a fan of most of the new characters they introduced. Like, I think the whole story with the Mandarin, that was interesting. However, the new Mandarin, I've heard, I think I was listening to the Variant podcast, which is a great podcast, by the way. They were talking about how the Mandarin in that movie was still not really the real Mandarin, because they basically just completely, not destroyed, but like erased everything from the character's history and basically didn't acknowledge much of that. Now, I don't know a whole lot about the character other than how they completely changed the 10 rings in the movie from how they are in the comics. But yeah, I mean, it was interesting. I will say, seeing oh shoot, what's his last name? The guy from Iron Man 3.
Is it Ben Kingsley?
Yeah, Ben Kingsley's character, but his name's Trevor something.
I know he's like Trevor the actor, like all the time.
Yeah,
I can't think of his name.
I think it's like, is it Slattery? Is that his last name? Something like that.
That sounds right. Yeah.
Something like that. But anyways, he was the highlight of the movie for me personally. Mainly because now I haven't really watched the Marvel one shots. I haven't watched all of them, but I know there was that one with him in jail, and at the end he gets taken away because the real Mandarin wants to speak with him. So I think it's nice to see where that picks up in the movie. But that was good. Trying to think. See, this episode is completely unscripted. I did not jot down any thoughts or anything, so I'm just spitballing off the top of my head.
The only thing, like, I think that wasn't the best about this movie is they were trying to introduce like so many characters at one point. I think it was a lot for one movie, but I also think it was a well-told origin story, even with all the new characters they were attempting to introduce.
Yeah,
like you have Shang Chi, his friend Katie, Wenwu, well, the Mandarin. Like the Razor Fist, Shang-Chi's sister. I can't think of her name at the moment. It's completely skipping my mind.
That's all I remember her as, Shang-Chi's sister.
You're setting up all these new characters, except, well, when Wu dies at the end.
Yeah.
So you're introducing a lot of new stuff to the Marvel Universe in like an hour and 50 minutes.
Oh, yeah. Well, here's the thing that I'll tell you what I liked about the movie, okay? Because there's a list of specific things that I liked. I mentioned Ben Kingsley. I really liked that. I really liked the Katie and Sean dynamic. Let me give an analogy here. So, Spider-Man: Homecoming. Back when I saw that in theaters, I loved that movie so much because it absolutely encapsulates the Gen Z experience. Okay, so like, I mean, I was born in 2000, so I kind of walk the line between millennial, Gen Z. Kind of depends on your perspective as to which one I fall into. But so I related to that movie a lot because of how Peter Parker acted and stuff. I was like, I feel like if I had these powers, I'd be doing something similar. But the Sean Katie dynamic, I think, was good because it did a really good job, I think, at encapsulating like millennials, if that makes sense. Especially their relationship and how it starts as they're, just good friends and they go to being something more than that at the end, I suppose. I mean, they don't really define their relationship, but yeah. And I think their dynamic is also hilarious. Like they genuinely acted like they were like besties, and I think that was really good.
I think they went well together because they're both comedy actors. So comedy actors can always like spin off each other like fantastically.
Oh yeah,
they always go well together.
Oh yeah, definitely. But yeah, again, like I don't know. I guess that was probably my biggest highlight, I suppose. But one of my biggest problems, I'll put this, my least favorite character in the movie was Shang-Chi's sister. Okay, because I don't know, like it didn't make sense, her origin story. I'll put it like that. It did not make sense to me because you cannot learn how to do martial arts or do martial arts even better than someone just by watching other people do it. You know what I'm saying? Like, now, I'm not a martial artist by any means, but to my understanding, you have to have someone who is watching you, telling you what you are doing wrong so that you can do it right. If you're just standing by watching your brother train and then you go punch a piece of wood sticking out of the ground, that's not going to make you better than the person who's actually training with another person. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I have a complaint about that too. Is how like Shang Chi gets his butt beat by his sister. Well, he's supposed to be like this kung fu master,
Mm-hmm.
like master of all the martial arts and stuff. But he
Yeah.
gets his butt beat easily by his sister.
I know. And I feel like that's just kind of Marvel trying to be progressive. And it doesn't make sense. That's the problem. That whole, like, her whole character, I just didn't care for the entire movie. It just didn't make sense to me. I don't know. I can't quite put my finger on it because I've only seen it once, and that was months ago, and I just haven't had any real desire or strive to want to see it again. Again, I think it was just Marvel trying to be like progressive and stuff, and again, I don't think that worked because now it does not make sense.
His sister still was like a cool character though, with her like I don't know what that weapon she had was. I
Oh
thought her
yeah,
weapon
the
was really
thing with
cool,
the
like the
rope,
spike thing
the
that she could.
Scorpion Mortal Kombat
I don't.
thing.
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah.
thought her. She was a cool character,
Mhm.
but making her more powerful than like your title character almost didn't really
Yeah.
make sense.
Yeah. Like, again, that didn't make sense to me at all either. But like, here's the thing with like female characters in general. I love, having strong female characters, but I do not like having strong female characters that are just there to be strong female characters for no good reason. So, in other words, I do not like Mary Sue's, and his sister seemed a bit like a Mary Sue to me. Like, I don't know. It does not make any sense why she could beat Sean in a fight, like, at all. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe you can make the excuse that he was rusty because of how long, because he ran away and stuff. You could possibly make the excuse that he was rusty because of how long he was gone, I suppose, and not doing anything. But that's the only reasonable excuse I could think of to make her be able to beat him in a fight. And they could have so easily in the story gotten around that. It's just almost like they got lazy, I guess, for some reason. If that makes any sense to you?
Yeah, because it had been 10 years since he was training
I think so. Something
or
around
something like that. So they could have mentioned like how he was possibly like rusty at fighting or
Mm-hmm.
a little nod to it or something.
Yeah. But yeah, I don't know. It's just really weird. Another thing I thought was weird too, okay? I liked seeing that Wong and Abomination stuff, okay? But it made no sense why that was even in there.
Yeah, I was wondering why Abomination was there.
Mm-hmm. Well, here's another thing I find interesting. My personal philosophy with Marvel stuff is that not everything needs to cross over with something else all the time.
Yeah.
I feel like Marvel's kind of lost sight of that, I guess. Because if you think back to the early MCU, like the original 4 films, they didn't cross over at all, except for in like end credit scenes, maybe. And I mean, like that's okay. So like, I think the end credit scene of was there only one end credit scene? I think there was, right?
There was 2. The first one was with Bruce Banner and
Mm-hmm.
Captain Marvel, and they were
Yeah.
looking at the rings.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like trying to find out what alien technology they were, but they were like so ancient they couldn't figure it out. The second one was I think it's Xiaoling is his sister's name. I'm not sure if I'm saying that right.
That's right, taking over the 10 rings.
Yeah, it was sort of taking over the organization at the end.
That's right. Okay, I forgot that was an end credit scene.
What I find interesting though is how in the end, instead of saying like Shang Chi will return, they only say the 10 rings will return.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm hoping they bring back the characters from this movie, not just the rings.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, did they mean the 10 rings as in the organization or the 10 rings as in the actual 10 rings?
Yeah, that's true. Yeah.
So, yeah, I forgot about that until you brought that back up. So, yeah, it should be interesting. I don't know. And again, like, here's another hot take of mine. I didn't care for the movie Black Panther either. But just because I did not care for that movie or, like, Shang Chi, there are still things about the movie that I care about. Like, for example, in Black Panther, I love Shuri. Okay, like she's my favorite character of the whole movie. And like again, like I didn't dislike the character. Like I liked, again, I keep bringing this up, Sean and Katie. I wouldn't mind seeing them pop up somewhere else. I think they were fun characters. I enjoyed watching them do their thing. I also enjoyed that. Was it Air Jordans he was wearing throughout the whole movie?
I think it was some sort of Nike. I also loved his jacket too.
Oh yeah, but anyway, he's got style. We'll put it like that. He's got style. But yeah, it's like
Yeah.
I like the characters. I just didn't like the movie in general. So would I like to see some things return? Yeah, sure, that'd be nice. But yeah, like, just wasn't a fan. I know I'm gonna get a lot of hate for saying I was not a fan of Black Panther.
Well, in Shang Chi's case, the dragon scales are the most precious material.
That's something really interesting. Actually, I'd really want to see the dragon scales go up against vibranium.
Vibranium?
See how that plays out.
Yeah, the dragon scales are like, well, because they could take the blast from the 10 rings,
Mm-hmm.
which the 10 rings are like pretty powerful.
Yeah.
So the dragon scales, I don't know where the ranking is on like the Marvel material
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
list.
Well, but another thing too. Well, let's back up a little bit. I know before we talked about this, especially I know you brought this up. You brought up how this is like a new like B/C tier character who they brought and did stuff with. Marvel has done that before, and I think personally they've had varying degrees of success with that. For example, Guardians of the Galaxy.
True, yeah.
Yes, Guardians of the Galaxy. Like before the movie came out, I was the person who was vaguely familiar with the concept of the Guardians of the Galaxy, but knew nothing about them like at all. When that movie came out, it was huge. Everyone knows the Guardians of the Galaxy now, pretty much. That's what I'm trying to say. And again, like Doctor Strange, I guess, is another good example of that. A character that people have maybe heard of but don't really know. I'm talking about the general population, obviously, not comic book geeks.
Yeah.
And again, like I think, it's sort of hit or miss for me personally. That is, I have to keep saying that because I know people are going to hate on me if I talk like my opinion is the correct opinion all the time, even though they don't agree with my opinion because that's how the internet is. I'm trying to cover all my cases so I don't get canceled.
I know we didn't really touch on the fight scenes that much.
Oh yeah,
But I think this is like some of those well choreographed fights in, well, of course, any Marvel movie. Like I've never seen fight scenes like this in any other Marvel movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I would agree. Now I will say, I think maybe. Well, okay, yeah. Let's back up because now I'm actually thinking about that. I haven't really thought about that before.
Besides maybe the end fighting scene, because that was just a giant like CGI fight, pretty much.
Yeah.
But all the other fight scenes were unlike anything Marvel's really done.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I would say this. I would say,
and the style and stuff.
Yeah, it's probably my second favorite fight scenes in Marvel movies, I would say. Right behind the Captain America movies, maybe. Because I
Winter
really
Soldier
like,
has.
yeah, like especially Winter Soldier, I guess I would say. I really like how that movie's choreographed in their fighting. And I think a lot of it's because they took a lot of inspiration from the Captain America video game, the tie-in one for the first movie, where the combat was very much like, I guess, I've never played the game, so I'm just going off from what I've heard. It's very like Batman Arkham-esque. And so because they did that, I think that's why, it turned out so good. But yeah, I really like that fighting choreograph for Winter Soldier. Shang-Chi was really good, I gotta say. And because it's martial arts, martial arts looks awesome all the time. But yeah, so I'd have to give it that at least.
No fight scene disappointed. Even the like huge CGI monster fight at the end, it still was an awesome fight scene.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when Shang-Chi has the rings and he uses them against them, throws them inside the monster, then they just light up and he does like this, I don't know, like I guess he got a combo move.
Yeah.
Or something, and the monster just like blows up.
Yeah.
That scene was so cool.
That was very memorable, I will say. In fact, when you talk about the fighting, that's the first place my mind went. But yeah, again, it was good. It was well choreographed. Got to give it that. It's just all my gripes with it are that I thought the movie was just kind of boring and didn't bring anything new to the table personally.
I do like Wenwu as a villain.
Mm-hmm.
I thought he was like, I like how he's not like a full villain. Like he's kind of just not misguided, but he's like his path. He was so happy when like he found I don't remember what Shang-Chi's mother's name was.
Yeah.
But like when Wu had his wife and like his family, he was so happy. But then he lost his wife, and it kind of just like delved him in the darkness, and like he lost what he cared about most.
Mm-hmm.
So like of course, like anyone, even any human, would want to get back what they want most
Mm-hmm.
and what they've lost in life. So like when he hears like a way to bring back his wife who he lost, like of course he's gonna want to go after that in any way possible. And it's kind of just neat seeing like how he's just like dwelling in the past instead of looking towards the future.
Yeah, I know what you mean. And like I think that's good, but again, my problem is I feel like the misunderstood bad guy is in like almost every single Marvel movie.
Yeah, they're kind of because they kind of like there's no like clear bad guy anymore in any like superhero movie. They're always like gray. There's a gray area that they're in. They're never like one. It's not black and white anymore with villains.
Oh yeah, definitely. And I love gray characters, but when every character is gray, that kind of takes away from what makes it special.
Mm-hmm.
I'm trying to think. I'm now thinking through the MCU villains, and I'm thinking like the last. Well, hold on, let me think here. I can think of two villains that were just like straight up bad guys. Okay, that didn't have. Well, I mean, maybe there was a little bit of personal stuff involved, but like, I mean, I'm sure there's more. But these are the two I can think of off the top of my head. Those are Red Skull, because he's literally a Nazi. So I mean, like a Nazi who actually believes in the Nazi stuff. So I mean, you can't get much worse than that. And two, I think like Obadiah Stane.
Yeah.
Because, Obadiah, I mean, he literally just was in it for the money the whole time, and he didn't care who he had to get rid of or kill to get in the way of, making weapons to profit off of. But, like, even Thanos, like, the big bad of, like, almost everything up to Endgame. Well, yeah, pretty much. He even had, people were trying to sympathize with him because his planet died or whatever. And it's like...
Mm-hmm.
Again, I don't think that's bad. I just think they do it too much.
Yeah.
And that I just get
Especially,
really tired of.
yeah, even recently.
It's like I'm trying to
Like,
think.
I think the last maybe non-gray was maybe Hela in Thor Ragnarok.
That's true. Yeah.
So I think she just... Yeah, she was just evil to be evil, pretty much.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I will say, who probably my favorite Marvel villain has been? Like, in the entire MCU?
What's that?
Vulture.
Vulture, oh, he was awesome.
Oh, yeah.
Michael Keaton, fantastic job as a Vulture.
Oh, Michael Keaton is awesome an MCU villain now. I suppose. Vulture is no exception. Oh, another villain that's just bad I just thought of.
Green Goblin?
Yes.
Yeah.
But, yeah. That might be part of the reason why I liked him so much. It's also the same reason why I like the Joker. Because they're just bad, and there's not a real logical reason why. They're just this force of evil.
Just because they can be. They just want to cause, like, chaos.
Exactly. And there's something about that I just think is so... I guess it's just because it's, like, symbolism, maybe. I think that's just really cool. Which DC does a lot of symbolism. I know Marvel, not so much. Either way, yeah. The Mandarin, as a villain, I know we got really sidetracked. The Mandarin was an okay villain.
They changed, like, the original Mandarin. I was looking at, like, an old picture from his first appearance in The Invincible Iron Man.
Yes.
And it's just... So, the original Mandarin is just, like... It's such a bad face for Marvel because the whole original Mandarin was during like huge communist rule in China. So the whole point of the Mandarin was to be this like communist Chinese Yakuza figure. And like literally in his first appearance, it says from Red China, the Mandarin. And it's so bad. You can tell it's just in a different period of time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's hilarious.
And he looks... And just the whole name itself is not a good name.
That's true. But that's probably why they didn't really call him that in the movie. They just referred to him as that from time to time because of what, who did in Iron Man 3?
Yeah. Trevor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Which that brings me to one of his in the car when they're driving to the forest.
Mm-hmm.
And he's talking about Planet of the Apes. How he thought they were the monkeys actually acting. Like that was one of the like first times I've laughed out loud in a theater.
Oh yeah. I forgot about that again too until you brought that up. But yeah, that was pretty good. And
him and was it Maurice? The
oh yeah.
weird balding with 4 legs and wings.
and no head.
Morris, I think.
I think it was more.
Because yeah,
But yeah,
I loved his relationship with that thing.
I know. I loved seeing Ben Kingsley return too in such a great way as well. But yes, so good. Loved it. Loved that part of the movie. Again, that's like my biggest standout in the movie, I would say. That and the Sean Katie relationship.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I loved.
I love the comedy in the movie in general. I think this is some of my favorite Marvel comedy too.
I don't know. Again, it felt really millennial humor, which I don't quite get as much, I suppose.
Yeah, but I guess all the main characters supposed to be millennials. I guess that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah. Maybe part of the reason I didn't like it is because it was made for millennials, like for the crowd, because that was the age of the characters, maybe. And I just don't really relate with that, I guess.
Yeah, because I guess these are probably our first like millennial MCU characters. I would think, or like millennial main character MCU characters. I can't think of any like other at the moment.
Yeah, I would. Yeah, I can't think of any either. So, well, and if there is another millennial character, they don't like they serve as a different function. So for example, like I'm thinking about the Falcon and the Winter Soldier, Joaquin Torres. I mean, theoretically, he's probably a millennial. I mean, I'm just guessing here. I have no idea how old he is, but he's probably.
Yeah, I would think so.
Yeah, but because he's in the army, he has a completely different outlook and social attitude, so. But yeah, I think this is definitely, the first millennial America glimpse we've gotten in the MCU. Which again, it's nice. It's not for me, and I didn't really care for it a whole lot. One thing I will say that is nice in the movie, but it also isn't really appealing to me, is I've heard a lot of people talk about how great they represent like Asian culture.
I know China wasn't too happy with the representation.
Really?
Because of the title figure. Yeah, because of the title figure. Like, he's of course Chinese, but he's like Chinese American.
Oh, okay. Well, I mean, like,
even though I think he's from Canada technically.
I'm not entirely sure, but I do know that because I'm just hearing this for the first time. I do know that like all of what was the place called when they had to go through the bamboo maze to get to the secret place?
I know exactly. Oh, it's gonna drive me crazy. The name of that place.
Mm-hmm.
I don't want to like look it up. I want to figure it out. But
yeah, it's like I don't remember. But the point I'm trying to make is at that place, all of the buildings and the like animals were all heavily inspired off of like historic Chinese art, I suppose. Like it looked like the kind of stuff I would see if I went to a Chinese buffet on like the walls and everywhere. Not trying to like degrade or anything. I just don't know any better metaphors I can use. But
Lao, that's what it's called.
Oh, okay. But it seemed very authentic, I will say, based on everything I know. Not that I know a lot.
Yeah, not that we're not experts.
Exactly. Again, I don't want to get canceled, so I have to keep saying that.
Yeah. Like a lot of people have heard of it like as a Asian Black Panther. Like finally, there's like a bunch of Asian representation.
Yeah.
In like a big budget movie, kind of like Crazy Rich Asians. How that was a big Asian representation.
Yeah.
In bigger budget movies, and now they have like Shang Chi.
Yeah, definitely. In Crazy Rich, I haven't seen Crazy Rich Asians, but isn't Ken Jeong in there? If I'm pronouncing his last name correctly, I think it's Jeong.
Think so.
Okay, I love that guy mainly because my favorite show of all time is Community. I love Community so much. Which might I say, because we're on the topic of Marvel movies, as we are most times, I love all the Community cameos that actors make in the MCU. Love it so much.
Oh yeah. Like you have Shirley.
Yeah. Danny Pudi made a cameo in
Danny Pudi. Yeah, Danny Pudi.
Well, and then you have Donald Glover, who even like played a pretty significant Spider-Man character in Homecoming.
Oh,
he played Aaron
Davis, the Prowler.
Yeah.
Aaron, yeah.
Which is like one of my favorite characters. Oh yeah, and he also implied that Miles Morales exists in the MCU.
Yeah.
So I'm sure we're gonna see him eventually. given how popular of a character he is. So that makes me excited. Shoot, who else cameoed? There was someone else. Oh yeah, Ken Jeong himself in Endgame.
Yeah, he was in that like storage unit place.
Yeah, he was the guy who fell asleep, and then the rat
and
did the thing with the car and brought Scott Lang back.
Yeah, and even the dean from Community was in Civil War. He was the dean from the college. Tony Stark was that.
Yes, I remember that now. Thanks for bringing that up. Again, love Community. I know we're getting on a bit of a sidetrack tangent here, but anyways, so Shang Chi. I can't think of any other thoughts. Do you have any final thoughts before we rate this movie?
I think I really disagree with you, like, on your thoughts on this. Like, I don't see how you think it's boring. I don't like. I'd probably see it again. Like, I even bought I only buy steelbooks for like my favorite movies, and I bought the steelbook for Shang Chi, which is really awesome steelbook.
Yeah, well, maybe I can put this into perspective a little bit. Are you the type of person who likes to go back and rewatch your? I mean, I'm assuming you are, given you've seen Spider-Man: Homecoming 8 times. Are you the type of person who likes to go back and rewatch your favorite things, whether it's TV shows or movies?
Yeah,
Okay.
I tend to do that.
Because I don't for some reason. Well, actually, I know exactly what the reason is. It's because I don't know, I'm sort of like a junkie for stuff that's new. So when I see something that's done so many times, I get really bored of it really quick, if that makes any sense. And that's sort of my biggest complaint I've had for the whole movie in general. It didn't bring anything new to the table. Now, when we talk about Spider-Man No Way Home, which, let me tell you, I'm chomping at the bit to talk about. That's in our queue of podcasts we're going to do soon. They did a lot of new stuff in there, and I was very happy with the movie. Again, I don't want to give away too much because we're going to get into that later. But, yes, in general, this movie just didn't do anything new for me. I don't like... Now, don't get me wrong. I will go back and rewatch my favorite movies and TV shows from time to time. But we're talking about Community, right? A little bit ago. I'm going to make this relevant, trust me. So, Community, my favorite TV show, okay, of all time. I've only watched through it once, and I've been working on my second watch through for about like a year and a half now. Just because I just can't rewatch stuff like that. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, I don't know. Again, the same type of things get old to me. Maybe that's just me. But, I mean, that's my excuse for not liking it anyways. And again, it wasn't bad. I personally just didn't like it because it didn't give me anything, if that makes sense. So, anyways, any more closing thoughts?
Overall, I think it might be one of my favorite origin stories in the MCU. And that's just about it. I think it's a great MCU movie. I might... This is a big thing to say, but I might put it in like my top 5 MCU movies.
Oh, wow.
I just really enjoyed it. I thought it was a fun movie. I thought it was really fun.
Okay. I mean,
I love the characters. I love Simu Lee as Shang-Chi, one of my favorite characters in Marvel now. They're just cool to, not, like you said, it's not like completely new. It's kind of like sticks to the Marvel formula pretty much, but it's a cool origin story with, and I love the characters. I love the world it's built with Tai Lao and stuff.
Yeah. See, again, I don't have any problems with anything you just said. It's just, I just don't see eye to eye on that, I suppose. If that makes any sense. So anyways, in closing, Colin, if you had to rate this movie on a scale from 1 to 10, okay, and 10 is the greatest movie ever, 1 is the movie that you probably made on your parents' camera phone back when you were like really young, just taking a video, where would you rate that?
I could give it an 8.
8. Okay. So, personally. So, let me explain this to the viewers. We're each giving our own, and then we are going to decide on what's the word I'm looking for? We're deciding on an average, I suppose, number that is going to be the Friendly Neighborhood Podcast rating. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So, personally, I would give the movie, again, like, this is really tough for me because I don't want to trash it. I don't think it is bad, like I said before. I just personally do not like it. So, I don't know. I'd maybe give it I want to give like a 4 or 5. I just don't know if I want to give it a 4 or I'm going to give it a 5. I'll give it the benefit of the doubt. I'll give it a 5. So, let's see here. If we were to combine both of our scores, what would that bring us somewhere around a? You gave it an 8, right?
Yeah, so that's 13.
Okay. Well, I mean, like we're not actually going to calculate the average, of course.
Yeah.
So what do we give it then?
Around
Like I mean, it would be about a 6.5, wouldn't it?
6, like a 6.
Yeah, 6, 7. We'll give it a 7. I'll allow it to be a 7 because I know you like it so much. So if this were I keep referring to IGN because they use the same scoring system. IGN would call that good. In conclusion, Colin gives it an 8. I give it a 5. And the Friendly Neighborhood Podcast gives it a 7. So there you have it, everybody. Colin, any more closing remarks before we depart?
That's all I got.
Okay, sounds good. Well, in that case, this has been your Friendly Neighborhood Podcast starring Kyle Swope and Colin Donato. Make sure to follow us on Instagram at Friendly Neighbor Pod. The Spider-Man theme was originally composed by Bob Harris and covered by Jacob Swope for this episode. The Friendly Neighborhood Podcast is a Lumberjack media production. Thank you guys all for joining us.